Yes, 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 yes. Hey, man, over here. Namaste. What's up, bro? Come on. Come on. We're digging into this 4th chapter of The Science of Getting Rich. You're on chapter 4. You're supposed to have printed it off. I hope you did. I decided to move it from where I normally talk out here to the pool area. This came right out of chapter 4. Not the nicest pool in the world. Not the nicest house in the world. I grew up in a trailer park. I really began to apply myself to a lot of, you can see I got lots of different versions of the book. And you're going to see as you go through, if you listen to any of my podcasts or if you trade with me in my trading business, if you've ever done business with me on real estate, almost everything I say comes out of this book. And I mean, it's rooted out of, its basics come from this. Chapter 4, and I said this would be the hardest chapter. This will be the one that takes the longest to get through. Okay, that's truth, because it's deep. But I want you to understand, don't get caught up on the language. It's just poetic. It's beautiful. It's inspired. Like, it's saying it's something that's so simple in such a basic way that it's overly flowery. I get. And sometimes when the book talks about rich, see if you have a feeling in you, like a visceral feeling, like, ugh. If you do, that means you have some mindset problems with the concept of getting rich, that anybody, regardless of age, race, or financial situation, can get rich. Wow, it's windy outside. I may have made a mistake. Hopefully not. Let's stay on pack. Don't let this world distract you. Hey, it's trying to distract me. We saw in the beginning of chapter 4, this is beautiful. He says, Wallace Waddle says, I have said that men get rich by doing things in a certain way. And in order to do so, men must be able to think in a certain way. A man's way to do things is his direct way of the way he thinks about things. So the book is making an overemphasis that it needs you. This is all it's saying. You got to believe in you, bro. I mean, shit, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You got to believe in you. If we don't start right there, if we don't start with you have a fucking right, regardless of age, race, or financial situation, no one has a right to stop you. This universe was created for you as much as for me, as much as for those guys, as much for the fucking politicians in Washington, as much for the gurus on YouTube. I have just as much right, and so do you. Now, if we establish our basis on that fucking principle, the rest of this book gets easier. Because if you don't believe that, if you believe due to race or age or gender or some other bullshit you've concocted in your mind, or you don't have the right degree, or you didn't go to college, or you don't have enough money to get started, you have some bullshit in your mind that keeps you from getting rich, then you're fucked. And the problem wasn't that thing, the problem was you. You decided that. And this is what it's trying to establish in the beginning. This is the flowery language. That if you do things in a certain way, you're going to get a certain result. You don't need to go to fucking, what is that music school? Music school. Is it Juilliard? You don't need to go to Juilliard to learn to play the piano. You can learn just fine on your own. Human beings can train themselves to do almost anything. Any deficiency you have, you can begin to work and try to overcome it. I don't know what that looks like, but I know it's one brick at a time. There's no labor from which most people shrink more than that of sustained consecutive thought, holding that thought that you have a right. See, once you establish you have a right, you go, hey, has anybody else ever done this? How does an average person get rich? Well, we could start a business. That's one way. And if you've got that in you, I would highly recommend it. There is no faster, there is no quicker way to get rich, to acquire the most money, is from people who own businesses. People who own businesses or assets that produce cash flow. Some way you have to be able to make money without your effort. You have to be able to fucking leverage yourself. I need to stop cussing. The problem is I just say that word in normal language and I keep apologizing for it. You think I could control my thought and make myself stop? The power can only be acquired by getting a hold of this basic fact which is behind all appearance. The fact that there is one thinking stuff from which and by which all things are made. And then when we must grasp the truth that every held thought in this substance becomes the form, and that man can so impress his thoughts upon it as to cause it to take form in the visible. This is just a poetic way, a flowery way saying, God, you can do it, man. You got to let it, hold that thought and let it go. So for me, I wanted, people would say, what do you want to do when you get, what do you want to do for a living? Shit, I just want to get rich, man. Shit, if I can get rich selling styrofoam cups, I love styrofoam cups. If I could get rich owning 100 hot dog stands, I fucking love hot dogs. You know, people say, what's your passion? My passion is financial independence. My passion is self-control. My passion is running my business. And I don't know what that looks like completely. I don't know what products I might do or what job I might do or assets I might own in the future. If you'd have asked me that I would be piling a bunch of money into Bitcoin 5 years ago, I would have said no, right? But I'm open to receive new things as the universe brings me things, as things come up in my life, as the money flow unfolds in front of you, as thoughts, as people. You're going to see that all of the money you want is in the pockets, purses, wallets, checkbooks, credit cards of other people. Other people have your money, and it's not that we go out there to steal it from them. It's that we go out there to do business with them. Everyone is going to answer your prayer is out there, right? And so, but if you don't believe that, if you don't believe that you can run into it, you don't believe that you can sustain it, you don't believe that you can, like, you know, for me, like investing, like this is investing. The reason people fail at investing is they don't get this. This will equip you to be an investor. You could become a multimillionaire by investing in 20 years. 20 years or less. You don't even have a fucking business. You just apply yourself to consistently investing in undervalued assets, and you do it consistently. Use your fucking brain. You set a path. If one man can do it another, there's a certain way. That opportunity hasn't been monopolized, right? What happened in COVID-19? Carnival Cruise, how low did that go? Right? You didn't know about Amazon? Like, it's everywhere. The stock market opens up a world of opportunity to build wealth to anyone. You understand that, right? And there's people that would tell you, well, man, you don't want to buy single stocks. They're risky. I know. But without risk, there is no reward. Meaning, there is nothing that comes without risk, without the possibility of loss, without hard work. So this is why we have to study. This is why we have to get our mind right. This is why we have to blueprint and begin to learn and internalize something and practice it. And through repetition, the mother of skill, and we develop the skills. I may not have the skills I need right now to be a portfolio manager, an asset manager, but if I can drive a car, if I can graduate from high school, I can learn basic math, right? I can learn business. And they say, well, you're not equipped. You don't know enough. You don't know how to value a company. No, but you know what? I don't know about fucking electricity either. But guess what? All of my rental properties have electric, and I've never fixed it. I never put a roof on. I own 15 houses. I've personally never put a roof on. Meaning I don't need to know how to value, it's crazy when I don't need to know how to value every single stock to get a value on the stock. You can outsource that. You can start a business, right? That produces a book. You know, I sell books, right? I sell books and courses. Guess what? I don't need to know how the PDF works. I don't need to know how Cash App works when you pay me. I just know it works. And so I can go to them and I can outsource it and use it. Now I've leveraged myself, right? The way that you get rich, the way that you make the most money is through leverage. So what the stock market does for you, when you get your buckets right and you have money and you start investing, you're like, hey, I want to put some money in Coca-Cola. Why? Why Coca-Cola? Is it a deal? Is it on sale? And you're like, no, I just want to put some money in the stock market. Okay. But I mean, is that the certain way? Is that the way to get the most return? Or is that just something you know with your limited knowledge right now? And so as we begin to look at the stock market like that, maybe we make our moves, maybe we build up our positions, maybe we grow our wealth as we learn, as we apply ourselves, as we begin to internalize this idea of how markets work, how the free market works. Dude, the stock market is a gift. Anybody teaching you the stock market's not a gift is an asshole. On the real. The stock market has made just tens of millions of people millionaires. You should be playing in that game. Do you know statistically the top 7% own over half of the stocks? If it's such a bad idea, then why do all fucking rich people own stocks? Explain that to me. I can't even have those conversations with the people that think you shouldn't own stocks. It's too stupid to have. I run into people like this, guys, in real estate. Meaning, this is the world trying to distract you. You're going to be sitting there and you're going to be all into the science of getting rich and you're going to get excited about stocks because I talk to you about stocks and you're going to start buying some stocks and then you're going to get on YouTube and some guru's going to shit all over it. And he's going to say there's a coming crash and he's going to say this and he's going to say that and you're going to be watching shit on TV and you're going to lose that thought in formless substance and all of a sudden fear overcomes you and you become afraid of something that you weren't afraid of yesterday. You just allowed them into your mind. You allowed a new input that all of a sudden stole your confidence. All of a sudden you stopped believing in yourself. I watched tons of people do this during COVID. Listen to what he says. We realize this, we lose, okay. Yeah, here it is, sorry for the delay there. He says, then we must grasp the truth that with every thought held in his substance, the substance becomes the form, and that man can so impress his thoughts upon it as to cause them to take form and become visible things, right? This is just flowery language saying you can do it. If you can think about it, write it down on paper, begin to execute on it one step at a time, one brick upon another, not needing to know everything you need to know, but you begin to, what I call, push your intent into the universe. You'll see where I get this. When we realize this, we lose all doubt and fear. For we know that we can create what we want to create. We can get what we want to have and become what we want to be. As the first step toward getting rich, you must believe 3 fundamental statements given previously in this chapter. And in order to emphasize them, I repeat them here. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made. That's your mind. And which in its original states permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner space of the universe, right? Thoughts, prayers, beliefs that you have, the shit you keep repeating to yourself. You walk around the house saying, oh, you know, this, maybe you're having all this negative talk, right? You know, but you got to flip that switch. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control the conversation that you have in yourself, in your head about what's happening to you, right? Man can form things in his thoughts, and by impressing his thought upon form of substance can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. You must lay aside all other concepts of the universe other than this monistic one, meaning fuck everyone else, fuck everything else. I can create. I am in control of me. Anyone, like you see what I'm saying? Like you begin to say with this indefinitely. Can you buy real estate if you live? Yes, of course you can, right? But you have to go do this. You must lay aside all other concepts of the universe, and you must dwell upon this until it is fixed in your mind and has become an habitual thought. Meaning, you don't let it go, man. You got to keep sticking to the basics. You have a right to get rich. I'll tell people this all. They say, what are you doing? I say, man, I'm trying to get rich. What are you doing? And almost fucking never, when I say this to average people, do they go, man, me too. Me too. Why? Because they gave up. I mean, 35-year-olds all the time gave up. They got, life's fucking beat them up. They can't get past life. They can't get past the basics of life. Paying fucking rent. Paying your electric on time. Right? Making your credit card payment on time. These are contractual obligations that you've already made. This is why my first book, You Don't Have to Die Broke, was center. It's front and center. I can't teach you to be a good trader when you're in fucking debt and your mind's all fucked up because you haven't settled that. You get what I'm saying? When the dailies of life have you fucking down, it's hard to go much higher. Because getting rich is first about believing that you have the ability to create. Damn, if you got the ability to create, then create a fucking way to get out of debt. That should be your first order. Because the moment you're not tied down with debt, all of a sudden I got a fucking free thinking creature. I got someone I can take who goes, had a guy today, we're talking back and forth. He says, Gerald, I've been on your teachings, man. I knocked out my debt. Now he goes, I cut my living. He goes, I feel good about it too. In other words, he wasn't suffering. He felt good about it. He spent the first 13 months paying down debt. Now he's got $3,000 a month. $3,000 that he can devote to doing what? Trying to get rich. You only need $1,000. You only need $1,000. You need $1,000 every month. Bam. Bam. Now, is that going to get you there fast? Probably not. But let's say during that course of that 1,000, you have a business idea. What if you had a business idea? What if you had a business idea and that was going to run you about $1,000? And so instead of putting it in the stock market this month or putting it in your sacred account to buy real estate, you do have one of those, right? Come here. All you guys that say you want to buy real estate, let me help you. This is all you got to do. Listen. Get your credit right. Go to the bank and open up a separate checking account. You can probably do it online. The money that goes into there is going to fund your real estate business. See, so I own 15 rentals. That's a little business of mine. That's this little money center of these houses. That's not a lot. There's guys here on YouTube, they have hundreds of houses. They have thousands of units, and they fly around in jets. I don't do that. I have 15 houses. Now, I could go out and buy a lot more. Here's the thing. 11 of them are paid for. No mortgage, man. I've been doing it like 20 years. And so I would invest back into my properties. So for me, early on, cash flow became real important. So I bought 5 houses, and then I began real hard to pay off the first 2, and I did. When I did that, it brought my cash flow to about $2,000 a month, maybe a little more of profit that I, after taxes, mortgage, insurance, a little money set aside on maintenance, I had $2,000 a month. This is years back now. So $2,000 a month may not mean as much. But remember, I said you can start this journey on $1,000. So if I could figure out a way to create a little side hustle, a little business that would generate an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. So what I was trying to do is get my stocks. If I could get my real estate paying me $5,000 a month, and I didn't need the money, meaning after the mortgage, after the taxes, after the insurance, after setting aside for maintenance, I would be willing to go do a lot of shit myself so that I could take the $5,000 not to pay my bills, but to fucking invest it in the stock market. Meaning I wanted to use other people's money. See, all the money that I want is in the pockets, purses, wallets, credit cards, checkbooks of other people. Same for you, your customers, right? The people you serve. However you want to do that. Business is about service. It's about giving. So you create a product or a service. You're a lawyer, you're a dentist, you're a creative director, you're a human resources manager, you're a truck driver. Something you do that has value will produce money. And as you get that money, you have to see it like that. And you have to decide, listen, life can't fuck me. Meaning just being alive can't take all of my resources. Just being alive can't make it so that I can't grow. But for some people, for a lot of people, this life is hard. It's a push. It's pushing down on you. And so I refer to it as wearing a crown. Meaning you got to push through life, all the regular shit. There's people right now got a student loan. They're going to keep it for 20 fucking years, and it'll be a constant drag on them because they couldn't pull it together and take 18 months and knock it out. 18 months, put everything in it, hit it. What? I mean, what the fuck are you waiting on, bro? You're 26. The only thing I'd be worried about is trying to be free by 30. I'm not saying you don't put a little bit into the market. I'm not saying you don't get on M1 Finance or buy a little Bitcoin. I mean, you can do all of that stuff, but the focus, the 90%, the 80%'s got to be hammering down that debt so that you get free, unless you have a business idea. Now, if you have some idea that'll just generate a bunch of money, like a business, if you said, hey, John, I'm going to launch this business. I've held it in formless substance. I believe it. I believe I can push it into the universe. I believe it'll serve people. It's going to make me a lot more money than my job. Then yeah, you go in on that. We'll get to the student loan. But if you're not doing that, that has to be the thing that you have to get. Money not going out is the same as money coming in. And so the first thing we teach, and you don't have to die broke, my free ebook is what? You got what? First thing is what? The well, right? This is where we get our money. Pull up water. We're going to take that water and we're going to distribute it into 3 buckets. Now it's illustrative for a reason, but that water right there, Jesus was represented by the water of life. Water, what is water? Water runs downhill, mine's the easiest path, right? Well, if you want to control water, what do you got to do? You got to build some walls, a levee, a dam. That's what you have to do. See, getting the bucket 2 right and getting bucket 3 right is about you building a dam. Water will always go the easiest way. Let me explain something. You don't get rich the easiest way. You fucking listen to me for a fucking second. You think for a fucking second you get rich because it's easy? You think I got 15 houses because that shit is easy? That shit is hard, dude. I'm at fucking war every moment I wake up. Every day is some problem. Every day, something. That's a war. Most people don't want to fight. Most people are not soldiers. They're not soldiers of prosperity. They're not going to push their intent into the universe. They're like the water. They're going to take the easiest path. What is easiest? What doesn't hurt right now? Oh, I don't want to pay that loan. They're going to take the easiest path. The problem is you keep taking that easy path, and the easy path year after year goes by, and you're not getting any richer. Now you're fighting against 3 things make you rich: time, amount, and yield. Every fucking day you wait, you're killing time, and you become your greatest fucking enemy. You die broke because you chose to. Chose to. Your parents are broke because they chose to. Stock market was there for them. They chose not to participate. Stock market's been here every day of your fucking life. You've chosen those days not to participate. Netflix has been here almost 20 years. Amazon, Tesla, Bitcoin, the Dow, the S&P, the Qs, single family real estate, storage facilities, flipping land. I can just go on and on, all kind of shit that I do. Investing in REITs, oil crashes. The money flow's been here. You just chosen not to do shit about it. And you can't do shit about it when you have a yoke tied around your neck, when you're in debt, when all your money is allocated to other people. So you got two fucking choices if you're in debt. One, you have to immediately tack the debt. Means you got to work an extra day, probably 3. Probably need to work 3 days. I mean, goddamn, for a minute. Who cares if they see you? Who cares if you see your friends? Who cares if you see your kids? Seriously, who cares? You can miss a few months. Goddamn, men go to war all the time. It's time to go to war, man. At some point, you got to get pissed about your situation. Seriously, at some point. And that's what I mean when I say push your intent into the universe. At some point, we got to get mad, man. I don't know. This is why sometimes I get mad teaching. I'm mad for you. I'm mad that you're not mad. Fuck, man. And that's not going to come as a gift. That's going to come as, you got to go take that from the world. You know what a king does when he wants to spread his empire? He pushes his army into the neighboring lands, and he takes theirs. That's how kingships work. And the only time they don't do that is when they come to an agreement. And any given day when you're a king, there's somebody coming for your land. And that's what I mean by it's heavy is the head that wears the crown, meaning it's hard. The shit is hard. Making the right decisions is hard. It's extremely difficult. It's hard to make enough money. And as I said in the beginning, most people let just life get them down. They just can't get enough above life. The power to get rich comes from how much do you have above life? And you say, what do you mean? Here's my bills to survive and here's what I have left. And there's only a couple ways. One, you can increase your income, you can decrease your expenses, and what is left in the middle is the margin, and the margin is what you have to play with. When you say I want to get rich, it's like, well, let's talk about the margin, because that's what it comes from. And you may say, well, I don't have the margin. Okay, but that doesn't keep you learning what to do with the margin. How would you invest $3,000 a month if you had $3,000 a month? If you can't answer the question, no wonder you don't have $3,000 a month. You haven't held that thought in formless substance yet. So at some point, you got to take over this mission. See, I can't get mad for you. At some point, you got to decide you're going to do it. That makes sense? Man, I hope that makes sense. That's really what he's saying in chapter 4. That if you want to get rich, it starts in your mind. And then you got to start pushing in on that shit, right? You got to start pushing. And ain't nobody going to do that for you. And if you're just barely above board right now, you're just barely getting by, you have to take an assessment. We need to know what are your natural skill sets? What comes easy to you? You know what I started with? A truck and a lawnmower. A truck and a lawnmower. And I just went and knocked on doors. Hey, can I mow your yard? You know what I was saying? Hey, I need some money. Hey, I'm trying to buy some rental property. I need some money, man. Hey, is there something I can do for you? Hey, I don't have it, I don't know how to do that, but I could clean this up. I could paint that. I could watch that kid. Oh, I could drive that over there. You see what I'm saying? You start with what you have, with where you are, what is right there in front of you. And the one thing you don't value, this is going to shock some of you. Resting, hedonism, self-service, shit that's about you. As long as you play that game, you're a fucking kid. You're a fucking kid trying to play an adult's game. A lot of you guys think you're gonna do it. You're not. You're gonna die fucking broke. Because you put too much time on bullshit. Friendships. I'm not saying you don't have friends, but that's not what's gonna get you that. You know what I'm saying? You can't be knee deep in fucking debt and you got time to hang out with your friends. Are you out of your fucking mind? Seriously. And yet most people are. Most people, what I just said to them, they're like, whoa, that is way too heavy. I can't know. I know. That's why the 7% run the rest of you. That shit's called self-control. It's called will. And very few people can do it. And when you're middle class and when you're average, guess what? Nobody gives a fuck about you. Whether you're a man, a woman, a minority, nobody gives a shit but you. And so you have to get up and push your intent into the universe. You have to claim your right to wear that fucking crown. And that's going to require a lot, and working and pushing and deciding and holding thought and form and substance that doesn't prove your reality. Your fucking reality proves differently, but you begin to make up for it with what you can do with where you are. And it doesn't look like you sitting in a fucking living room all day. That is the exact opposite what it looks like, unless somehow in there you're doing something to make money. You're doing something in there to cut your debt. You're doing something in there to find something, an object, a house, an investment, a research thing that could make your life better. I mean, you have to have dedicated time to this process. And it might be just paying off debt, but it might be pursuing the business idea. It might be finishing college so you can go get the fucking job and pay off the thing. Like at some point you have to put it on the very beginning, which is the well. You have to get that water and you have to get your life fucking right. But you got to get that margin. Margin is how far. Now we said margin was how much money you have versus bills, and that difference is what you get to keep. Well, let me give you another margin. It's called life. This is what I need to get through the month. This is where I'm at. And that could be in your mind. That could be in your health. Meaning there's shit. You get to control the compression. Or at the very least, you get to control the effort against it. And you could say, well, man, I didn't make it, but it wasn't because I didn't try. Because I pushed my intent in the universe, and the book says that all of those people will be rewarded. So I believe that, man. I'm believing for you. I really am. I'm gonna let you finish out chapter 4 on your own. We're gonna move on. I know I went a little long. I like to keep these. I'm a preacher of prosperity, man. Good news merchant. Get it? An ambassador of opportunity. And that's my message to you. You don't need any of these, mother. You almost don't need anything, to be honest. You don't even need my book. All my book's going to do is confirm what's already in your spirit. Shit, I'm only talking to people. I say this all the time. I'm only looking for people who are looking for me. The people I'm looking for, they understand what I'm saying. They're not like, what? They get it, right? That's how the universe works. The Bible says that God entertains that you entertain angels unaware, meaning he sends answers to people's problems. He sends answers to their prayers because he doesn't send them money. He sends them ideas, right? And we don't even know that we were entertaining those angels. We don't even know it. We get focused on ourselves. I hope that's not you. All right? Be good.